Welcome to Rocketship, the home of epic React Native content. I'm Simon Grimm, creator of Galaxies.dev, and in today's episode, we have a lot to discuss. Last week, I missed an episode that rarely happens, but I will tell you why that happened in a minute. On top of that, we have many exciting news and updates from the recent App.js conference that took place in Krakow, and there are also some interesting new community packages and news. So let's first start with our usual React Native radar. First of all, React Native 0.80 is close to a release. At least I feel like that's the case. There is already RC4 as a pre-release available. Again, I think we talked about this before. Many new things and some things that might be exposed at the App.js, so we're going to come back to that in a minute. But keep an eye on this. React Native 80 is near. On top of that, Reanimated, the package we all love for animations, is also close to version 4. There's already beta 5 of version 4 available with many refactorings and improvements, and I'm especially excited about finally using CSS animations in production. So previously someone asked, Simon, like half a year ago, you did a demo on CSS animations with Reanimated. Where is all this going? And yes, this is coming with version 4 of Reanimated. I'm really looking forward to that release. I don't know how many more weeks, but we can wait a bit more because this is just an epic and foundational, probably one of the most foundational packages for all React Native applications. Then we have something interesting going on. A couple of weeks ago, I told you about Legend List, this new list from Jay, which uses just JavaScript. And then I also told you that Shopify is also working on a complete rewrite of their Flash list. So at this point, there's a release candidate, actually release candidate 4 of Flash list version 2. I'm excited about this one as well. I'm really looking forward to how this stands up to Legend List and how both of them will compare. I'm super curious. I don't know what is different, what is same. It's just always great if these different packages like inspire each other, learn from each other, and make each other better, because in the end, you can select which package you like the most, which works the best for you, and you get the benefit from different packages competing for your attention. Then, I also noticed that at the recent, I think it was like a local first conference in Berlin, there was a package announced called LiveStore. That was actually teased like a year ago, probably on the Expo blog. So LiveStore is a next generation state management framework based on reactive SQLite and Git-inspired syncing. This is interesting because this whole topic of local first applications has become more popular over the last years. I don't know if it has reached like the maximum point. I don't hear that many people talking about it, but it is at a great point, and LiveStore is another piece in that puzzle of implementing local first in your React Native application. Check it out. I haven't personally worked with it. It's still on my list, but from all of the demos and the code snippets and examples that also Beto from Expo gave, it looks really, really great and like a cool tool to use for local first applications. Actually, this inspires me to just build an app and use some stuff of local first. I know this is the wrong approach, and we're gonna actually come back to that in a minute as well when I talk about the progress of my own apps. Nonetheless, some more packages. There was a cool article on the Expo blog about something called React Raptor. Find out which Android apps are built with Expo. I always love these kind of applications for two reasons. First of all, it's cool to find out which applications are built with Expo. And second, this article also went more into detail in how it's actually working under the hood. I find this fascinating, how it's like analyzing APK pairs and looking into the data of that. I don't know if this would be possible for iOS. I assume not. That's why it's built for Android. But it's super cool to see this, and it's built with Expo, so it's like an Expoception once again. Then I found this new Expo dev tool for Zustand, the state management that probably most of us prefer at this point, next to maybe Yotai, but Zustand is the most popular state management library right now. And with this Expo dev tool, you can analyze your Zustand state of your Expo app in the Expo kind of way. You know, there are like a handful of Expo dev tools, and I'm excited to see new ones. The only thing is that I'm also currently a big fan of the React Native Better DevTools by Austin, who has being a member of Galaxies before. We're in constant contact. He's making this tool, which is like a native Mac application, and it can already do a lot of things. I don't know if it can do Zustand. I don't think it can yet, but it has many cool functionalities. So I hope, Austin, if you're listening to this, adding Zustand into this next to 10-state query would be a great addition as well. So keep an eye on this. I will keep you updated here on the podcast and on the Galaxies newsletter as always. A lot of packages, but I found one more just the other day where Tariq, someone on X, posted, just dropped an Expo module that uses Apple Pencil Kit API via the Expo Modules API. And he just shared this example of using Pencil Kit and the different pencils in a canvas in an Expo application. And while the package, maybe you're going to use that package or not, it just has 7 stars on GitHub. It's not super popular yet, as you can see, but it just shows that these native functionalities can be so incredibly easily exposed by now with Expo modules. It's almost ridiculous. Like, if you find anything that works in iOS or in Android land natively and you can't find any package, just do an Expo modules. I bet in like 30 minutes, you're gonna have it up and running in your Expo application. It is really that easy at this point. Now, on to something else. These were all the packages, but there was also the App.js. When this episode goes live, the App.js was probably around 2 weeks ago, so I hope I can still cover this timely. I also try to bring out a video about some of the most important points of the App.js this week. You can watch that one as well, but I will also give you the summary of these points. So, if you haven't been part of the App.js, or if you want a quick recap from someone who watched all the talks, here we go. First of all, Charlie gave the keynote, and he just shared that there's a big optimism in the React Native world right now. We have come a very long way as React Native developers, even if you haven't been there for like the whole time. I haven't been as well, but I actually tried it in 2015 and it was really bad. And where we've arrived at this point is now sort of like a tipping point. We had a decade of mediocre React Native apps. Some were good, some were bad, but now we're at a point where everything comes together. We have React Native at a very solid state with the new architecture. We have Expo offering first-class tools and everything to make the experience great. And then we have the React Native and React community, which just ships incredible packages from Skia to WebGPU to animations and keyboard handling and everything in between. There's just a great package for everything. And it's not just a package, it's really great solutions. So you don't have to make any compromises anymore at this point. And this is the positive wind that Charlie sees in the community and that I definitely feel as well. Beyond that, some great talks were around keyboard management. I really love that talk by Kirill. He also shared more about how to use React Native keyboard controller. I should probably cover this in a future video as well because it's really exciting what you can do. Jay, creator of Legend List, was there to explain why he built Legend List, why other lists have flaws, how they're not as performant, and he really dives into debugging and shows you this visually, how Legend List is doing this in a better and much more performant way. There were several talks that covered sort of animations. Enzo Magnano gave a great talk about like very specific how to use reanimated, spring animations, dampness, and all these factors that make animations great. There was a talk about WebGPU, how to use Skia, how to use the WebGPU, how to use worklets. I can highly recommend them. And beyond that, I just think that the whole spirit of this conference was that we're getting to this point where every application should be built with Expo. And this is also, or React Native. And that is also what Charlie gave as an example. So all these AI tools use Expo because all the LLMs have the React and React Native code. It's just that easy. Everyone today can spin up an AI-generated React Native application and become a creator of mobile apps. Those might not be perfect, but this is where you come into play. You can help those vibe coders fix the security issues in their application or upgrade their apps. And finally, one other piece that Charlie also mentioned is the brownfield integration. So We can build great new applications with React Native, with AI and all these tools, but we can now also help the legacy applications, the one using Swift, Kotlin, Objective-C, to gradually bring in React Native because Brownfield is getting better. Expo is not exactly working on this, but CallStack and other companies are actively putting time into this to make Brownfield applications a whole lot better. I'm excited about that as well because it was really challenging in the past, but now it's getting a lot better. Beyond that, great talks about native features, a lot about AI, of course. I don't have to tell you that AI is here to stay. Big companies sharing how they use React Native. There was actually someone from the NFL applications. There was Aaron from the Starlink application once again. So the biggest companies in the world use React Native. So I guess it's good enough for our project as well. And finally, the probably most exciting or breaking news came from the talk of Ricardo and Nicola from React Native and the React teams. They shared something about the past, the present, and the future of the current architecture, especially the adoption and what will happen to the legacy architecture. So far, the new architecture is the default for new projects. You should use it. Some people have problems, but what is the legacy architecture? And actually, the legacy architecture will be frozen. That means, let me see if I can pull up that slide here for everyone watching on YouTube as well. This means that there will be no more PRs merged into the legacy architecture. Facebook, React Native, everyone will stop working on the legacy architecture. That is what they mean by freezing. Why are they doing this? Well, it's quite obvious. If you want to or if you have to maintain these two architectures all the time, it drains your resources. It takes time away from developing new and exciting cool things. So they're making this cut. They say, don't make any PRs against the old architecture anymore. We won't accept this. We're not doing any new features. So this is really your call to migrate to the new architecture. When you start a new project, please use the new architecture. When you have an old project, please start the migration to the new architecture. Even if it is painful, even if it takes time, even if it will be challenging with some packages that might not be ready and you might have to use a different solution, you want to move to the new architecture as soon as possible because you don't want to be left on a legacy architecture in 1, 2, 3 years when they're not supporting any new features, any fixes anymore. So I really recommend this. They had this also nice slide from the Ice Queen, the Frozen, let it go. This is what you should do to the old architecture. The new architecture should work fine in most cases. They've spent a lot of time on this, and I think usually it works. I told you about some problems I had in the past, but maybe I just wasn't good enough or didn't spend enough time on it. So this is really the time to get into this. On top of that, there was actually also another talk that was called Towards a Stable JavaScript API by Alex Hunt. I found this one to be really interesting in hand with the legacy architecture talk as well, because that one was about the strict TypeScript API and what the React Native team is planning. They want to have like a real snapshot of the API that they can compare against in the future, so they're not making any breaking changes. They're preventing deep imports in the future, so if you have done them, you should see a deprecation warning. And Alex shared how this will play out in 2025 over React Native 80, 81, and at 88, 82. I think they will deprecate or remove completely the old types. So I'm really looking forward to this stabilization, about the effort to make the new architecture really the default. And I hope this will finally take place in the React Native world. I know it can be painful. I completely understand some companies that say, oh, we don't have time for that. Some things didn't work when we tried it the first time, but I really hope it works for you. And if you got questions, please let me know on X or in our Discord server. Beyond that, to recap the whole App.js, I just think that nothing is impossible anymore. Charlie gave this example that some years ago, he made a joke that what would it take to have every app on my home screen being built with Expo? And everyone was kind of laughing or joking. And here we are in 2025, And it's actually a possibility. It's not yet the reality, but it's the possibility. And we can all work on that. We can all integrate AI tools, help people using AI in React Native to build apps. We have Brownfield for updating legacy applications to React Native. And of course, for every new application, Greenfield apps, we have a total variety of Epic packages to use, select from, to build anything from animations and performant applications with React Native. And eventually, in 1, 2, 3 years, every app on your screen could be dominated by Expo. And I think it's actually a possibility because it just becomes so easy to work with React Native. Yeah, Swift UI is cool, and I've been having an eye on it as well, and some people like Jetpack Compose, but honestly, I don't know, but I have a very strong and very positive feeling right now about React Native and the future, and my dream is still that we might see React Native version 1 at some point. I don't know if this is gonna happen this year, but eventually. So, that's the recap from the App.js. As always, I like to share a tiny win, and my tiny win this week is that my business actually keeps working even if I'm completely devastated. So what happened? Why did I miss the last episode? Well, Simon had a really bad GI virus or something that, well, wasn't great. I can't recommend this to anyone. Anyway, so actually that Sunday night, it got really horrible that night, and then I kind of started to panic at night, and eventually I ended up on the floor of my wife's bed. It was a total mess. I passed out because I don't know, I hit my head at the door. I can't exactly remember, so I passed out for like a minute or so. It wasn't great, but everything's okay. I'm eating fine again. I'm back into sports. I'm back into the triathlon plan, and I just took a couple of days off to watch the live streams when I was finally able to watch something again, and a bit of Big Bang, and it just felt good to see that my business and everything that I've built up here is working. And even if I miss an upload, even if I'm not updating a podcast or a newsletter, it's not like anyone is screaming at me, Simon, where's your episode? Why is there no content? Actually, nobody did. Nothing happened. So this makes me a bit more relaxed inside, and honestly, it just helps me also to create better content. I'm absolutely excited now that I'm back. I kind of had a little meh over the last weeks, but now, after watching the talks, after having some downtime, I'm really back and I'm excited. So let's talk about what I'm building currently. My build in public update has about 2 elements today. The first one is about my own app, and the second is about the next clone app. Let's talk about my own app. I recently shared this already on X that I'm killing my own app. In the past weeks, in the past months actually probably, I've shared the progress of my mental health chat application. This app was built because I use ChatGPT all the time to discuss various things from business planning to mental stuff to sports. And I wanted to build this mental AI chat for people to make it more accessible. I know it is just a wrapper on top of ChatGPT, but so are so many applications. I put a lot of time into working all the internals out. I had a great onboarding flow, everything. And then it took so many weeks for Apple to review it. Eventually, they declined it. We had a lot of back and forth. I changed all the terms in the app to more like coaching and not therapy. Then one application was declined because it actually didn't work correctly. I had already the hope that now we passed the stage, but then I fixed that, submitted it again, and I got once again the rejection that I should give in my real license or something because this requires approval. And I'm at this point now where this is just taking too much from me. I don't have that. I can try 5 more things to change the wording of the app, but Apple will probably still reject it every time because I'm just not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, anything like that. Even if I made it more about coaching, I just don't have the energy at this point to pursue with the application. I learned a lot in the process of making that application, but a couple of weeks ago, I told you that after submitting and waiting for 3 weeks, I already kind of lost the whole passion for that project. Because if you just abandon development and you just unwait, it just feels bad. And I completely lost interest in now getting back into this and changing it once again after I actually took some time to change like everything. I just can't do it. So instead of trying to make this idea work, I have learned a lot about streaming, AI integration, and onboarding flows with that app. I take it as a learning experience and I'm moving on to the next app. I don't have a clear plan for the next app yet. I'm still looking out for keywords, for ideas. I have one on my shortlist, but that's not too easy to implement. So I definitely want to take my time to find something I'm really excited about and where I see some potential. Meanwhile, my matrix manager is constantly doing sales. So I'm really happy about that. Okay, and finally, what is Simon working on now that he's back? Well, I'm working on new content. As you can see right here, the App.js recap, you can check it out on YouTube. There will also be new episodes of my React Native Essentials very soon. I'm talking about RSCs in the next video. And also the next big project that I'm working on is an Amazon clone. And this one, I have so many ideas on my list. I got started. I have great sponsors. I will actually work with some AI in that application. I will share more about this and how I'm using these tools in the next episode. So far, I've already built a little Node API so we can have something to do, but I have so many ideas for that application and I hope I can include most of them because then it's gonna be one of the most exciting clones I've ever done in terms of the functionality of that application. It's like AI agents and state management, animations, even something maybe 3D or AR, I don't know. There's a long list of technologies that I would love to try and use in that clone. So keep an eye on this. I will update you as always. I highly recommend you check out the live streams from the App.js. There are timestamps under the live stream, so you can jump around to the presentations that are interesting to you. Definitely recommend the one about the legacy architecture and as well Charlie's keynote, but most of the other talks were really great as well. So go check them out. I hope to catch you in one of the videos or the places where I hang out, and I hope you have a great week. And I hope I will be next week and not once again struck down by an illness. So have a great week and happy coding, Simon. Thanks for joining today's episode. My goal is to share interesting stories and insights into the world of React Native development. If you enjoy this show, please subscribe to the show on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify. And on Spotify and Apple, you can leave up to a 5-star review. Because podcasts, and especially niche podcasts like this, are hard to find, subscribing and leaving a review does help me a lot. On top of that, check out my React Native courses on galaxies.dev that cover a variety of topics from getting started to building and publishing your mobile app. Finally, you can share today's episode with a friend or colleague who would enjoy the topic of the show. If you have any questions or ideas for future episodes, find me on X or leave a comment on YouTube. And last but not least, thank you for listening and happy coding, Simon.